Hey Johnny, how you doing? I've got your work up right here. Okay, your book cover for Silence of the Lambs. I love it. I think you're taking some chances here, and this is what being a designer is all about. This is a very, very unusual approach, and like I said, I love it. I mean, please don't ever stop this as a designer. I mean, especially while you're in school, push your creativity as far as it'll go, and you'll get some really good results. I think this is fantastic. I love it. A couple of comments though, is in terms of looking like a book cover. My recommendation is this: is to you would definitely have to add a byline on here, so the name of the author. Um, so either place the title up here. Hang on one second. So either place the title up here, Silence of the Lambs, and then maybe down here somewhere, by the name of the author, or a novel by, and then name the author. Okay. Then also you could theoretically add some sort of a tagline. Silence of the Lambs. I mean, things are not always as they appear. Something like that. That would be an interesting little tagline. Plus, it'll give you a chance to show a little more of your typography. So, Silence of the Lambs, little tagline. Maybe it's not necessary, but then also that definitely got to get that byline. So the name of the author in here. So it's very specifically clear that it is a book cover. You could even put a logo for a book somewhere, a book publishing company just to reinforce that. I think the more realistic this looks, the better it's going to be. I love the play in the illustration. I think it's fantastic. A couple of things. I think the illustration itself is lacking a little bit of contrast, and for that reason, I would recommend taking those little flies and really try to make those look like flies. It took me a second to figure out what they were, but they're definitely that kind of, or not the flies, but maybe it was those butterflies that they had used, but that's not specifically clear. So I would definitely reinforce those as to what they are, and maybe even darken them up a little bit to add that contrast. My only other recommendation in the illustration itself is that the illustration of the mouse, that doesn't really look like a mouse. I thought it was a cat. I thought it was another cat. I thought that this was a big cat taking this little cat down on this kind of journey, so to speak, as you mentioned, this kind of dichotomy between the main characters. I love it. I think it's really effective, but that to me just doesn't look enough like a mouse. So I would definitely reinforce that visual attribute to make sure that it's specifically clear to the viewer that that is indeed a mouse, and that there is indeed a relationship between a cat and mouse going on here. Other than that, those typographic recommendations, I think you're good to go. You might consider lightening the color of the skull just a little bit as well. Right now, it took a second to realize that was a skull back there. Maybe even some sort of a completely different color than the blue. Maybe some sort of a light tan. Not too obvious. I think it's one of the charming things about the illustration is that there is a skull tucked back in there, so you definitely don't want to you kind of want to keep it hidden in the shadows, so to speak. So moving into your final presentation, I would recommend some sort of a mock-up like this. So once you get everything set for your front cover, what you'll do is you'll take it in Photoshop, and then you can just do a perspective distort and just distort it onto an image of a pre-existing cover, or even use a book cover template to place the cover and the side spine on, which means you'll have to design that spine right there, but so be it, that's fine. So your final presentation would look something like this. Okay, and you could just find an image of two books stacked up. You could even take a couple of your own books and stack them up like this, shoot them, and then just use Photoshop to replace the spine and the front cover using your work from Silence of the Lambs, right? All right, great job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. Thank you very much.